Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for your patience and sorry for the inconvenience. We would like to welcome Nancy, ma'am. Nancy is a professional administrator, management consultant, and life coach. She has worked she has worked in the education sector for 25 years and 15 and 15 of which were at the school leadership level. On her last job, Nancy led a team of over 100 employees in a group of schools managed by a multinational corporation. She has contributed immensely to the growth of four reputable schools across four cities in Nigeria as a school administrator since 2005. Fast gaining recognition, Nancy is the founder of the Facebook group Educational Administration Network with over 1,000 members from various countries, where she shares content on school administrator management and personal development. She has usually impacted school owners, school leaders, and administrators. This has earned her the nickname the Admin Queen. She is the author of the highly impactful book Dear Educator, which was published in May 2019. It is available on Roving Heights online bookstores with deliveries to anywhere in Nigeria. The ebook version is available on her website. She is currently the lead consultant and trainer of Ekpezu Smith Consulting. Nancy has spoken at several reputable platforms within Nigeria and beyond, including a TEDx talk. In 2018, she was nominated for an award by the prestigious ArcLights Foundation for Education Advancement in Africa for her contribution to the development of education in Nigeria. Nancy has a passion to see organizations in Nigeria and West Africa function effectively with proper processes and procedures for productivity and sustainability. She is versed in performance management, professional ethics, policies, procedures, and customer service. Nancy is known for her calm, demure, and deep insights on administrative issues as well as integrity. She has a few online courses for school leaders and administrators which can be accessed on her website. As a coach, Nancy nudges in the individuals out of their comfort zones to become better version of themselves. Nancy is a fulfilled single and resides in Lagos State, Nigeria. We welcome you, ma'am. Big round of applause. We welcome you, Nancy, ma'am. May I invite Nancy, ma'am? Mic over to you. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Nancy. Welcome, Nancy, ma'am, to the session. It was an honor to you to be here, ma'am. Thank you to the session. Good evening.
Thank you so much, friends.
Ma'am, where are?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening from our side, and good afternoon. Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I can start right away. I'll be sure.
Yes, ma'am. You can.
Is the audio clear?
Ma'am,
it's fine there. Can you see me clearly?
Ma'am, actually, it's a network issue. Network is weak, it seems.
But can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, yeah, I can see you. I can hear you.
Okay, so maybe I could just put the fan off so that is it better now? Can you hear me starting? So thank you so much for having me once more. I'll be speaking on school administration post-COVID-19. And if you are a school administrator in 2020 and you're keeping things going in your school, I want to give you a thumbs up and I want to tell you that you deserve an award and a warm hug because it's not easy to manage an organization through crisis. So don't beat yourself up. You are doing amazing already. I'm going to share a few more tips that can help you as you navigate the changes of the COVID-19 in school administration. I'll be sharing my slides.
Sure, ma'am, your thoughts will be very beneficial for all the academicians and the school owners. They all are looking forward to your views.
Okay, so I'm going to share my slide right away. I'll be sharing slide. Where is that? Can you see me?
We can see you.
Let me see. Okay, share screen. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen right away, and then we're starting right now. Okay, so okay, so like I said earlier, the topic is school administration post-COVID-19. School administration post-COVID-19. And basically, I've already been introduced. I will not spend much there. But what are we going to cover here? We're going to really urge school administrators to develop skills for managing, the organization during disruptive and uncertain times, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. And then we're going to highlight areas that need attention for action pandemic. Like I said earlier, if you're already leading your team around this time and administrating properly, honestly, it's not an easy task to accomplish at all. So do not take it lightly one bit. We all know what the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has done. Okay, there's been a disruption of teaching and learning and loss of learning even in some organizations. There's been an increased use of technology for teaching, learning, and supervision. There's been a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear. There have been a lot of losses of finances and a salary since March. And there's been a lot of chaos and confusion and even loss of jobs for teachers and sometimes even leaders of schools. So it hasn't been a very easy period for anybody. But guess what? No matter what these challenges are, there are still strategies you can put in place to help you navigate and to get things going during this pandemic. So here we are addressing the school administrators, and I want you to know that the core functions of administration have not actually changed. Okay, it's still the same as, planning, organizing, coordinating, budgeting, supervising, recruiting, and all of the functions that we are used to as administrators, the core functions that we perform. But the way that we perform these functions is what has actually changed as a result of the crisis that we have to manage. And I want to tell you that one of the key things that you need to have for this, one of the key skills that you need to develop now will actually be managing a crisis. Crisis management. And of course, lots of use of technology. So it's a call on school administrators to step up their skills, okay, to develop new skills that you'll be able to train your skills with. And you must have coping skills and be able to adapt. This is the time to be very adaptable. So your skills for adaptability must be very strong at a time like this, very, very strong. And then, of course, you need to know that this is a time to look at your policies, your processes, and your procedures and protocols, and make sure that they reflect the new reality. All of the things that you do must reflect your new reality. Please, I don't want to sound like I'm the only one talking. I would actually like to see comments by the participants. So if you have anything to say, please just feel free to always go there to highlight. My sessions to be interactive, and I don't want to be talking over your heads or just be the only one talking. So please make sure that you send in your questions, you send in your comments. I'll make sure that I keep checking to see what comments are coming in. Okay, I just thought you should know that.
Okay. Sure, ma'am, it will be entered in the end.
Oh, okay. So there's a need for crisis and change management. And there are three skills, there are actually some skills that are a must for every school administrator at this time. Like I said, crisis management, change management, and you need to also have the skill to be adaptable. And of course, your technology skills have to be up at par because there's been such a huge transition and a very sudden one too from physical learning in the brick and mortar classroom to the digital arena where so much learning has been occurring since the pandemic broke out. And there's a need to build a community because you cannot do it alone. This is a very overwhelming time for school leaders and administrators. And this is a time that delegation has to come in. You cannot do everything alone. You cannot do all the reading, no matter all the guidelines that are given from the government in your country. Every UNICEF has sent out guidelines, World Health Organization has sent out guidelines, various schools have sent, various countries have sent out guidelines. You cannot interpret all of this all alone. You must have a team, you must build a community, you must engage the parents, students must be involved in everything that is going on. Okay, so that the room for communities that you're not the only head that is thinking. There are several people around you. You can bounce ideas through and say, okay, this is what we're planning to do. What do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? This is also a time for distributed leadership, so that you can also have a little time for self-care, because if you don't have time for self-care, you're going to break down and the work will still go on as a school administrator. It is overwhelming, yes, but you cannot do everything. You cannot have all of the 24 hours working. And so you must have people on your team that you have trained, so that you have distributed leadership, and some of them can take on roles, that then you can delegate and make sure that you follow up on them. And of course, there's a need to be technologically savvy and well-informed at a time like this. So if you've been a school administrator who has not taken the time to develop tech skills, please, you cannot expect from your staff what you are not giving. You must develop your tech skills to the level that will take there's a need for the human touch. People are going through so much, parents are going through so much, and so are the students. And so there's a need for the administrators, the leaders, to give that the human touch that makes all the difference. While technology will help us learn, there's just so much that it can do. But there's a part that it can only be supplied by humans, and that is the human touch, empathy, a bit of that touch of sensitivity and care, knowing what everybody's going through. So this is not the time to overload all your staff with everything and boss them around. Everybody's going through a whole lot of psychological and mental issues because of the COVID-19, and it is affecting people at various levels and in different ways. So if you're a school owner or a school administrator, a school leader, this is the time that the human touch has to come. And this is the time to be vulnerable. Please do not claim that you know everything. You need to get out there and let them know that you are confused sometimes just as much as they are, in as much as you're trying to get them, to give them a clear sense of direction, that you do not have all the answers, because there's no script written for this COVID-19. We're all trying to make it out, and everybody's been able to navigate at some level, depending on, how aware they have been and how much they've done on studying exactly the trends and what is going on. So please do not forget all of this. The need for you to develop new skills, the need for you to put your policies, processes, procedures, and protocols to reflect the new reality of the COVID era. And then the core functions of administration have not changed, like I said, and there's a need for you to develop your crisis and change management skills, to build a community, to have distributed the human touch in everything that you do, to be sensitive. So let's look at managing the staff. We're going to look at the staff, we'll look at the parents, we'll look at the students, we'll look at the financial resources, what exactly you could do with each of these areas. So for the staff, before the COVID-19 pandemic, quite a number of people were only used to the physical classroom teaching, teaching right in the brick and mortar classroom. And then suddenly there is the COVID-19. And then you realize that you have to migrate to the digital space, to technology for almost everything. So there's a need to do an audit. Even though a lot of trainings have been done in a lot of quarters, in a lot of areas, there are still some schools struggling where their teachers are struggling with technology. So it is still not too late to still do an audit of your staff and know the areas that they need to develop, the very areas that they need to develop their skills, and then train them. So staff training for the changes required is actually very used with teaching with certain apps. Find out what those apps are, and then begin to train them on it. Are they struggling with, some kind of tools? You find out what the tools are, and then go on and work on them. So for you to lead the staff successfully at a time like this as an administrator, you need to show compassion and empathy. They are going through so much. People are bottling up things, and any little stress from the administrator can lead to people having outbursts that you would not expect, because there's just so much going on right now. Just so much all over the world. Okay? So there's a need for you to be sensitive, to show compassion, to show some empathy, and not to training them and pushing them, not necessarily babying them, but expect but not too much, and know that everybody's under stress, and you are their manager, their leader, their administrator, and there's also so much in you. So staff need a sense of direction from the school leaders. So no matter how tough it is, you need to be calm, and you need to be calm and collected enough to be clear and to give them a sense of direction and calm everybody down and let them know that as schools are reopening, these are the things that you're actually doing to put things in place. Of course, with their input, you can't do it alone, remember? You must have their input as well. So this is a time to also note that increased workload of the staff will be very stressful. Remember, they've had to play roles that they were not playing before. Now you have to take temperature of kids that they come into school, because that's one of the guidelines. You have to know who's coming into your school. What's their temperature like for the day? All of these were not in the job descriptions of the teachers when they signed to take a job with you or to be under your supervision. And so they have to do a whole lot more. Watching out for the kids to be sure they're social distancing, making sure that, the kids complete their work online, and now the schools are resuming physically. They're also scared. What will happen to them? Is the attention given to only the students? What is your arrangement also for the teachers, just in case any of them test positive for the COVID-19? Are there things you've put in place for them? Because most of the time we plan only for the students, and then we forget the staff who are going to take care of these children. Their welfare is equally as important as that of the children. Because if the children get to the school and there are no teachers to take care of them, there will be no school. And so in your planning as an administrator, please show some care to the teachers. Let them know that you're concerned just as much as they are about their children. And that if they do fall sick, this is the plan that you have, okay? And all of that goes. So encourage self-care of the staff. Encourage them to have time to care for themselves. Have sessions with them where you encourage them to take time to rest, because it is very stressful. I know what teachers have had to go through lately by virtue of having to teach online. Initially, it sounded like a very exciting idea until they saw that the work involved was far, far more than what they had all bargained for. So it's a whole lot of work. Okay, so those are the tips for managing your staff. And assure them that you're not laying them off. Some schools have laid off staff without even explaining why. I think it's a nice thing that you let them know what's going on. Communicate to them. Communication is key at a time like this. They need to know what's going on. Do it regularly, reassure them, and help to build that team spirit so that they stay with you all through this crisis. And then let's look at your financial resources, okay? A lot of schools couldn't resume. Of course, the lockdown led to schools staying at home. In my country, Nigeria, some schools were able to get their parents to pay the fees for their children, but some could not. And so a lot of schools were struggling financially, such that they could not even pay fees. Some schools have not paid fees since April. Some paid up till May, June, and then they couldn't get any money to pay. And they had to tell people to render all the staff redundant, apart from the few who were doing the online classes. So the economic depression may also mean that, you will not have banks loan money to you, because banks are also affected. A whole lot of people are investing in cryptocurrency now and not directly banking their money at the bank anymore. So there's a whole lot going on, and the banks are also affected by virtue of the depression that has come from the pandemic. So you may not have as much access to money in the bank as you would expect, because it's affecting everybody. It's raining on everybody. It is actually raining on everybody's parade. Okay, so now you need to invest in other sectors. If you're a school owner, a school administrator, a financial manager, you need to advise the board to see how they can also invest. That means you need to find other income for your school. That means you need to also find other areas for your school of income for your school. Okay, so budget that reflects the reality. Right, health, safety are going to be paramount, because if anything goes wrong, if all of these are not in place, learning cannot even take place. Now people are too worried. You know, you can only learn when you are alive. And so we need to prioritize what comes on our budget. This is not the time to budget for fancy things, buy new school buses, buy this, buy. This is the time to just know that you're going through a phase as an organization, as a school, and as a school administrator, you need to be very realistic and frugal with the expenses. And so a very strict budget to reflect the reality of the times we are in, and to show which ones are priority. And I would say that priority should be given to tools that you use in learning, because right now there's going to be a blend of physical, brick and mortar, and digital. So even though school is resuming, we cannot say that everything is going to be physical anymore, because we've been able to successfully migrate to the digital space for teaching and learning. And so we need to also have the tools to maintain this, even when school is resuming. So the budget management has to focus on priorities. And then you need to also upgrade your fee collection method. Some schools couldn't get all their parents to pay because they still do physical cash transactions. So this is the time to go cashless, to go digital, to have portals where parents can pay right from their houses. And so nobody would have an excuse to say, well, the boss's office was not open and so I couldn't walk in there to pay. So you need to have a digital means of collecting fees. You also need to revise your payment plans for parents to show that you appreciate that some of them have lost their jobs, and so you can have a flexible payment plan that will encourage parents not to leave your school. Okay? So have fee payment plans that reflects the reality of what is going on now. Be mindful about investing in technology. In as much as we're encouraging a lot of technology, people are just coming with all kinds of gadgets and tools and apps. And it is so overwhelming if you do not even know what you need. So you have to first define what you need and decide exactly what it is before investing in technology. If not, you find that most of your money will be going to technology. You dump this, you try this tomorrow, and so much money will be wasted. So decide what technology you're using and what you're sticking to. If you're having a blended classroom, doing the brick and mortar with a blend with the digital, you have to actually know exactly what you need to do. So it's not every technology that is thrown at you that you just keep buying and buying and buying and buying. Buy what works for your school, stick with it, and then you may try one or two others, but don't get don't make it become overwhelming and throw in all your finances into buying technology, okay? Create awareness with staff on the need to cut down costs and improvise. This is the time for strict record keeping of use. Not for people to just walk into the store and demand everything. They need all the papers, they need displays, everything. You have to be very frugal, and you have to teach your staff also to be frugal and cut down costs and to learn to improvise. They can learn to make some things. If you were importing cleaning materials, perhaps you can get your home economics department to produce them. You can produce cleaning materials. Okay. You can get staff more involved in costing. You have a home economics unit. Perhaps you can put the staff to more use. That will not involve you bringing a contractor to do some of the things that can actually be done, shared nicely among staff in your school. And then, of course, you can think of other sources of income for your school. If you had caterers, you could now have your employees do it. You had contracted caterers. Perhaps they've been the ones bringing snacks and supplying lunch to the kids. You can think of something else. Okay? Then the parents. Remember, customer service is very, very important here. Okay, can you hear me? Can somebody say hello? Hello?
Hello, ma'am. Yes, you are very much audible. The presentation is very nice.
Okay, thank you. So the parents, the customer service relationship is very important at a time like this. Remember, in as much as you need the parents to be back, they also have their expectations from you. They need a school that understands their plight. Some of them have lost their jobs. They've been laid off because of the pandemic. Some have been rendered redundant. Some, no salaries paid, and it's just tough. And yes, you need them to pay fees. So maybe you can have an agreement with them that we could allow you pay in so way, perhaps monthly, so that you keep them, and some of them are also going to come up with expectations. They may be too ashamed to withdraw their children from your school because they've already been used to a certain standard of living. And so they may still bring their kids, and they will have other expectations like, maybe my child can come to school from morning till noon and then go home and do homeschooling for the remaining part of the day. So you must be flexible in a way that you allow parents, because the truth is not every parent is ready to even release their children to the school right now. So at home and say, well, I would still have my kids finally declared gone. And some may say, okay, I'll take the risk, but I want my kids in school for just 3 hours a day and the rest so that they can just at least see their classmates and feel like they're back in school and have the remaining at home. So will your school be able to accommodate the demands and the expectations that parents, odd expectations that parents will be coming up with? Because these are not things we're already used to. Remember, as an administrator, at a time like this, you're managing change, you're managing crisis, and so you have to be open-minded. You have to be adaptable, and new ideas and thoughts could crop up from anybody. They could say, well, we've never done this. How about saying that our school now does day school and online? And you could have that on your flyers, so to let parents know that you're flexible enough to accommodate their expectations in the odd times that we're in. Okay, like I said earlier, I have considerations for fee payments. And then also there's a need for you to train your staff, because for them to even understand what's going on, to train your parents, for them to understand what's going on and to be able to support the children, they also need training. Some of them are just as confused as you might be surprised to know. So sensitize them about what the COVID-19 is all about, and even what coming back to school is like. The kids have been demoralized at home, some have been traumatized, some have been abused. You need to let parents know. So there's a lot on school administrators. Using technology, do not assume that the parents already know. Have a session with your seasoned tech team that'll be able to train them and let them know exactly what you expect of them. And even as kids are coming back, tell them the things you expect, the changes you expect in the children, and how they can help them also adapt, as you also as a school trying to help them adapt to come back to school. So show support for parents to support their own children. Show them support. Teach them what to even do. Some of them are confused. Some of the kids have been crying. They want to see their classmates. They miss all the hugs. They miss everything. All the communication that will be passed on to the children, you need to be sure that the parents are also aware so that they can reinforce this at home to help make your job a little easier. And the children. Okay, the pupils, the students that are coming back, some and some of their angry parents who have lost their faults, some of them are traumatized. So you may not be receiving back in school the same children that you sent home for the lockdown. They've gone through so much, and they'll come back maybe with some strange behaviors. Some will get withdrawn, and you need to train your staff. You need to train the teachers and all the admin team and everybody else in the school how to handle these children and to be sensitive to them. If there are some that need someone to talk to, please be available. And remember that there's a need to have the role of school counselors needs to be reinforced at a time like this. You need to bring them into assemblies. You need to have them talk to the children. You need to schedule visits to the school counselors in a way that lets the children know that you appreciate what they're going through. So school counselors have a lot to do right now in helping the kids resettle in school, and schools are reopened. And the school counselors can also share tips with the teachers because they are trained to do that. That is their area, okay? Some, like I said earlier, some parents may not allow their children to come back to the physical classroom. They might prefer their kids to be homeschooled, or they might prefer to do half in school and half at home. You really cannot tell parents, we don't want this in our school right now, because they are worried. And so their concerns may lead to them taking decisions that will inconvenience you as a school, and you have to be ready for this kind of change management. You have to be flexible enough to accommodate all of the changes that are occurring. Then you need to think truancy. What exactly is truancy these days? Because if a child is in school, half day and half at home, how do you record that on the register? You need to train your team. What is acceptable in this school as truancy now? If a child is not in school, does that mean learning is not taking place? Are you getting me? Truancy used to be that a child is not physically in school, and so you just mark the register as absent. We may have to rethink of the day and go home and still be learning. So long there's evidence of learning and there's contact with the teacher, you may have to mark that the child was present for the day. Maybe find a way to say that digital learning took place. So even the way we mark our registers may need to be revisited, because school has changed. We are coping with a whole lot of things right now. And we can't expect to keep doing the same thing, the same old way that we've been doing them over the years. COVID-19 has brought in a change. And so here we are, we keep changing along with it, okay? So you need to teach your staff to handle the anxieties and expectations of these children. Teachers have expectations from them. Their parents have expectations from them. But before they went home, they were happy kids, and suddenly they went home. Even when you take them online, they keep asking every session, when are we coming back to school? When am I going to see my friends physically? Is this all the work we're going to do now? Just seeing each other on the screen every day? They are tortured emotionally and mentally. And it's not the same. One of the reasons kids come to school is also to socialize. Those little stories that their friends tell, a little holding of the hand during break time, and playing and settling disputes, all of those little things that build their social skills. Suddenly they are cut off from all of that, and they have to be restricted to the screen. It's sociable. And so you have to really understand and put yourself in their shoes and know that they're coping with a whole lot. And now they're coming back to school, and we're telling them the hugs they used to getting back to school, hugging their friends and just feeling so happy. Suddenly they have to wear a mask, and they have to be socially distanced from the people they love, their classmates that they've always looked forward to. You have to keep explaining why these things are so, and that it is for their good. And that you're not doing it to punish them, but it is to actually keep them safe. And so you just have to keep doing the job of explaining and making them calm down and dealing with their anxieties, and also coping with the expectations that their parents and their teachers have of them. Okay, then for teaching and learning, definitely there's blended learning now. Okay, we're returning to the brick and mortar, but not the same old way. And real-time lessons on virtual meeting platforms are platforms you're using. You need to train your team to keep. And you can also have self-paced formalized lessons, which can be sent, ahead of time to the parents so that it can also help to make your job easier. And of course, use of technology has come to stay. This one is not negotiable right now. We don't have a choice to say, no, we don't want technology. It's like saying, I want to go back to the earthenware pot where people used to drink from a pot and not a refrigerator. Those times are gone. So the times that people thought technology was not relevant has also gone. Right now, it is the world of technology, and we all have to just do it. And like I said, school models may change. We could have day schools, day and boarding, day and online, and a blend of so many models that may arise as a result of this. And then you need to also know when you reopen your school and keep to all of these things we've been told. What if someone now gets infected with COVID-19? What is your plan for reclosing the school, and how long will you do it? What if someone in your school tests positive? You know that there has to be a sudden reclosing plan. So you have to build all of this in as you're reopening. How do we reclose the school after we have reopened? Because if there is actually a case, you know that you need to report and trace where it came from, and you also need to sanitize your school. So it means that you need to close the school as soon as that is detected. So it means communication has to be ongoing. And there mustn't be any parent who is left out of the loop in the communication. Everything that is going on has to be communicated instantly. If bulk SMS works for your school, please communicate. Communication is key at a time like this. If it is emails and all your parents' emails, if it's a WhatsApp platform, whatever it is, please make sure that communication is ongoing at everything and all that you're doing that concerns the parents and the students and the staff. So I ask you again, what will you do when anyone in your school tests positive for the coronavirus? What is your plan for reclosing? And of course, it's a time to also review your school plan to reflect the new reality. You may have had a 5-year plan that has been thrown into chaos now. It's a time to revisit your strategic planning and then have a school improvement plan based on the realities that we have now and still forge ahead. And then if you have a boarding house, it means you have to rearrange to reflect the social distancing expected. How do they sit for meal times? How do they cope with one another? Because now the kids are left all through the day and through the night together. Okay, so how do you make sure that there's social distancing in the boarding house? How do you make sure that they are properly supervised to keep to the guidelines that have been given by UNICEF and the various countries? How will this affect your boarding house management? All of this have to be discussed with your team, and proper protocols and procedures and policies put in place so that parents will be glad to see you to bring their children back to the boarding house. And remember to act as a community. Together we win. So if one school is doing fine and there's a next one there and kids from your school are going to interact with them and they haven't kept their things right, and then your child from your school gets infected, then it means that the effort is in vain. So we are one another's keepers. As administrators, let's also form a community where we share what's working in our school and how other schools can learn from us and adapt to it, and also adopt some of our practices. And also together we win as parents, as students, as your staff, admin, teachers, everybody. Always have that community mentality. And for universities, they need to have, they need to do a lot of reinventing in their learning environments because they have even been more affected than secondary schools. A lot of universities around, in the developing countries have really, really badly been affected. So they need to do a lot of reinventing in their learning environments and complement students, teacher and other relationship to technology. Then of course the change will include social distancing, classroom rearrangements, break time. Maybe you could have a break time that is not the same for everybody. A staggered break time, one class goes out, comes back, another goes out so that the playground is not crowded. Of course, blended learning is an expectation at a time like this. conduct a risk assessment for staff, review your school policies and procedures to reflect the current realities post-COVID-19, develop clear protocols on social distancing, revise attendance policies, like I said earlier. What does transit mean in 2020? Is it the same thing we have always known it? Revise attendance policies to accommodate health-related absences, and ensure adequate training for all your staff and the students and also the parents. Okay, remember to prioritize safety and health of students, staff, and leaders. Very important. And people are going through a lot with mental health, so this is the time to be safe. This is the time to look out for one another. And I hope that we get two things from here that will help. So, do we have any questions?
Thank you, ma'am, for the very wonderful presentation. It covered all the aspects. It covered the staff, the administrators, the parents, the students. It covered everything. Few questions were hello, ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah, few questions were coming. Yeah, few questions were coming there, but they were all wonderfully covered by your slides and your presentations. So you answered them all. You answered them all. Thank you very much, ma'am, for taking out the time and for such wonderful slides. They were very informative and they gave all the knowledge which we were needed at this time, especially the empathy towards the staff members, that both are facing the same problem, the administrators and the staff, the parents. The most important is the empathy, which is covered by you very beautifully. Thank you for pointing out this feeling. This is the special thing that you covered very well. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for coming to the session. And we would like you to come for more sessions from you. We would like to invite you further, ma'am. Thank you very much.
It was my pleasure to be here again. And you can connect with me on my email, Nancy@Ekpezu, on YouTube, Nancy Ekpezu, on WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and LinkedIn. I'll be glad to really be connected to everybody here. And thank you for having me at this conference. I've really enjoyed every bit of it. And I've learned from the other speakers too. Thank you so much. I learned so much about Iran today. I was schooling in Iran. So I'm sure I'll be able to encourage one or two people to school in Iran from now on, because I learned so much about their schooling system.
Thank you for your kind words, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.